Hey there, it's your favorite Fallout Ghoul turned YouTuber, and it's been quite a while since the last time we had an event in Hunt Showdown. So, the new event, Web of the Empress, is upon us, also called Update 2.5, bringing us a bunch of new cool features, changes and content, as well as a good chunk of what the fuck is that? And holy shit, I'm not exaggerating when I say this could be the best event Hunt Showdown has seen in a long goddamn time. And if you're arachnophobic, well then good luck. But I know you're a busy person with shit to do, so I'm not gonna waste any more of your time. Let's dive right into the event. I have timestamped everything in the timeline below, so feel free to skip to the different parts you're interested in, but let's take it from the top. First of all, the visuals and the theme. Let's start with the map itself. Following with the tone and theme of the event itself, Crytek has spiced up the entire map with cobweb, hatchling eggs, and all sorts of other nasty stuff. And once again, the art department of Hunt Showdown proves their weight in gold, yet again showcasing their god tier competencies in creating a game that is atmospheric far beyond that of any other multiplayer shooter I have seen on the market. It doesn't even come close. I mean, just take a look at this. Fucking phenomenal. But that's just the map. Then there is the Lair. Behold. First of all, this thing is not just a massive visual spectacle, it is a hulking tower of dread that effortlessly weaves itself into the environment around it. It also functions as a convoluted mini cave system with several different entrances and layouts, all of which I will talk more about later. The design within it, all of the walls are covered in cobweb, eggs, hatchlings, smaller spider tunnels, and even leftover bodies from people that have met their demise of spiders. It is all so fucking beautiful and terrifying. And as a person who is constantly bitching about the consistency of Hunt Showdown and its thematic choices, this absolutely hits the head of the nail for me. So kudos, Crytek. But what is even more insane is that the Lair has different looks and layouts depending on where it spawns. It is so crazy the amount of work that has gone into this. But not only that, when you combine the spider lair with the rainstorm, I mean, I'm just gonna let this clip speak for itself. In terms of sheer atmosphere, Web of the Empress slaps the utter shit out of both the circus and the hideout combined. And in my opinion, when it comes to the aesthetic for an event, any event, Crytek has absolutely knocked it out of the park this time. It is far above and beyond anything else I've seen before. On top of that, the sound department, the unseen heroes of Hunt Showdown, are once again setting the industry standard of what we should expect from sound design in a video game. You can hear the hatchlings pulsing within their eggs and how they react to you when they move closer. They scream when they hatch and they attack you. It is all so well put together. And accompanying all of this, once again, is a banger of a soundtrack from Port Sofer, who through some sort of dark music magic never seems to miss a beat when it comes to hitting the tone and the theme of the game. Along with all of this is the tarot cards. I mean, just look at these bad boys. My goodness, the art team over at Hunt Showdown are truly something else. I just need a round of applause for Inakus and the rest of the talented people that work on this game. And I don't just mean the artwork, I mean the animation department too. Just look at this. Oh, it's so gorgeous. Now, with all of that said, let's move on to the event and what it actually contains. Starting off with the new enemy type, the Bileweavers. These are nasty small spiders hatched from bubbling, pulsing eggs, either within the lair, at watchtowers, or even supply points. And these tiny fuckers are just like their bigger counterpart. They are immune to poison, quick moving, and they crawl on all surfaces. Within the lair, they also have these small tunnels solely dedicated to themselves, which they can use to quickly traverse around the lair to pop up somewhere behind you and attack you. But they are super weak and will die to a single light punch, a stab, and even a derringer bullet. However, they can be quite dangerous in large groups, as they will quickly bunch up on you, spit poison, and lunge at you with an attack that hurts surprisingly much for their tiny size. However, unlike other more opinionated enemies, such as an immolator, who will gladly swim across an entire ocean to punch you in the mouth for stepping on a branch, these guys are more about the ancient teachings of minding their own goddamn business. So they will actually only care about you if you decide to disturb their nests or their lairs. If you do that, they will kindly ask you to get the fuck out, but after that, they're not gonna pursue you. In essence, they're only interested in keeping their territory safe, and as long as you just fuck off and stay the hell away from them, they actually don't really care about you. Yet here is a footnote as well. They all respawn. All of them. Every single fucking egg that is hatched on the map will be reborn with another spider within it. With that said, you can kill each of these tiny fuckers for a single event point per spider, and if you're a quick little buckaroo, you might have already thought, hey, I'll just keep killing these stupid things over and over again and wait for them to respawn and speedrun the event in no time. But hold your horses right there, Timmy, for it is exactly because of people like you that there is a cap on how many spiders you can kill per game. After a while, you will get this message on screen, meaning no more points for you. So that is just tough titties, Charlene. Now, moving on to the lair. Like I said before, the lair is a compound in itself. It is a mini tunnel or a mini maze of several caves, containing within it a bunch, and by bunch I mean a fuck ton of Bileweavers, all of the tunnels leading into the center of the compound, which will hold all the goodies. Now, the compound will change looks and interior based on which map it spawns on, but also where on the map it's located. That means that the possibilities in terms of look and feel is different every time you experience the lair in a new location. And that is pretty cool. Just like the circus or the hideout, the lair will have the usual full heal medkits, ammunition resupplies, possible traits, boons, etc, etc. But within this update there will also be a corpse of a poor feller that has met his fate to the spiders, as well as a scarce weapon case that can either be the new Caldwell Homestead 78 or the Winfield Wildland. There will also be a Destiny's Dial, as well as a board on the wall holding 3 tarot cards. Now, the first of the scarce weapon is the Caldwell Homestead 78, which will spawn within the lair and can be unlocked for free event points. It is a double barrel shotgun that packs a fucking punch. Just look at this damage. It is essentially 2 Romeros in one, and it is powerful enough to kill both meatheads and brutes in about 4 shots to their weak spots and about 8 shots for a boss in total. So Pretty powerful, yeah. The second scarce weapon is a Centennial Wildland, which is a lever action rifle that does a whopping 126 damage, holy shit, has basically infinite ammo, a quick loading function, on top of a muzzle velocity that makes bullets travel at fucking Mach 72. Within the lair, you'll also find the Destiny's Dial, which is basically just a fortune teller from the circus event, which for a single event point will give you random rewards from trades to buffs, money, and even death cheat. But moving on to the real juicy part is the new addition of tarot cards. These can be found within the lair, but also sometimes hidden at outposts guarded by the Bileweavers. They are consumables that take up one slot per card, and each card can be burned to trigger a certain event or action, though some of them will also have side effects. First, we have the world. Using this card will reveal all boss targets' locations on the map for you. Up next is the moon. This card will, upon its activation, grant you 2 seconds of dark side boost. Then there is the garden, which will remove bleeding, burning, poison, and fully heal both you and your teammates when consumed. Then there is the Fool, which copies the last tarot card you used in the current mission. I wasn't able to find this card, so here's a picture of a donkey instead. Now, the Tower is an interesting one, because this card will either kill or damage all targets within a 65-meter radius. I am unsure if this affects enemy hunters, and if it does, what its effects will be, but while your hunter catches on fire as you use it, the effect of the card is actually quite powerful. As you can see right here, it will literally one-shot a brute, though I am uncertain how much damage it does to a boss, if any at all. The Magician will place a dark side decoy at your current location and cause heavy bleeding upon its use. The dark side decoy will look exactly like an enemy hunter to other players when they're using their dark side boost, and the decoy will also trigger instinct on enemy hunters. The decoy will have a distinct audio effect and can be dispelled by interacting with it physically. Decoys dropped by you and your own team will not show up in dark side boost or trigger instinct for neither you nor anyone else on your team. But since none of us have been granted access to PvP on the test server, I don't know how this works in practice. The Devil will, when consumed, reduce the sway and spread for all of your weapons, except for shotguns, until the second your hunter is downed. However, when you are downed, it will destroy an additional health chunk of your hunter, so be careful with that. The Sun will grant an increased regeneration buff for a total of 60 seconds. Now that might not sound like a lot, but the regeneration that comes with this card combined with a regen shot is honestly quite insane. As long as you don't get hit by bleeding or poison, it honestly makes you almost unstoppable. Judgment will double the time of all current buffs you have active, but reduces your hunter's HP to 1 when consumed. The Hangman allows you to spectate the nearest enemy hunter when consumed for a limited time, and the hunter which is being spectated will gain an audible warning from this. Obviously, since we haven't been doing any PvP, I haven't been able to test this on the test servers, so I don't know how this will play out in the actual game. The card the Empress will, upon its consumption, grant you the trait Catalyst, Necromancer, and 1 more random burn or scarce trait, if you have room for them of course. This card, as well as the Destiny's Dial, will be the 2 only ways you will be able to get Catalyst during this event. But now, for the last one, and what I consider to be the most interesting one, the Chariot. See, with this update, Crytek is doing something new. On each map, there will now be 4 total points of extraction, 3 on the outside perimeter and 1 in the middle. However, 2 of them will always be locked, meaning that no matter what, these extractions cannot be used. But if you consume a Chariot card, the current active extractions on the map will be swapped. This means that 2 of the outside extractions will become locked, while the extraction in the middle opens up, and only a single of the outer extractions will remain. And this is applicable for all teams on the map, however, only in Bounty Hunt. Now, using this card destroys 1 health chunk of your hunter, and the usage comes with a 5-minute global cooldown. which means that if you swap the exits, there will be a 5-minute delay before anyone else can swap them again. On top of that, the card can't be used during the last 5 minutes of the mission, but let's be honest, if you're still hanging around in Bounty Hunt after that long, you seriously need to do some soul searching and consider if you're truly about the he and the ha. Tarot cards can primarily only be unlocked through lairs and outposts, but can also be earned for the Dark Tribute in the main menu, and even looted from dead hunters, if they have any, and you have an empty slot available on your hunter. But now, to the next edition, and holy shit, I'm excited for this one. These are called powder kegs, and these tiny fuckers are essentially small red barrels that will now spawn on the map. They can be picked up and taken with you and placed anywhere you would like. They react to fire, gunfire, alert trip mines, and they will allow you to make some nasty ass traps wherever you feel like it. By the way, they can be shot and ignited while you're holding them, so be careful. They also hit pretty hard. With the update comes a multitude of changes to the game itself, and I'm not gonna go over all of them, I'm just gonna talk about the ones that makes me all jittery inside. Number 1, increased melee range. Yeah, that one can't really surprise anyone, right? The knuckle knife and all other melee tools just got even mightier. Good luck to any of you meeting me out there. All world tools can now be thrown. Shovels, pitchforks, axes, and hammers that you find within the game can now all be thrown without having the assailant trade, and I freaking love that. On top of that, the lanterns that you can find around the map can now also ignite whenever they're damaged, which I quite like too. I think that's a great addition. All toolboxes now have a chance to give you shots of all sorts: antidote, regeneration, stamina, vitality, recovery shots, on top of poison bombs, concertina bombs, and even dark dynamite satchels. The different weapon drops that spawns around the map has also been changed, and all guns now have a chance to spawn with a different type of custom ammo within them. Besides that, there is a bunch of other technical stuff that I don't really care about, so if you want to nerd out about that, you should probably find a more competent YouTuber like Psycho Ghost or someone else who actually knows what the fuck they're talking about. But honestly, I'll be the first one to admit that I'm usually one of the first people to complain about Crytek and their approach to Hunt Showdown, but I am genuinely impressed by the amount of care and thought that has gone into the creation of this event, not just in terms of the content and gameplay, but how it thematically ties into the game as well. I am genuinely excited to see how this event is going to play out. Now I can see how the Scarce Weapons might be a teeny tiny bit too strong, but hey, at least it's not the apocalyptic missile-guided chainsaw blade launcher from the Murder Circus. So while I do think the weapon seems a bit too strong, at least Crytek is dialing it down a bit from prior events. Now I do have some small gripes. The lighting within the lair makes it quite dark and pretty difficult to navigate sometimes. And I don't mean like seeing the enemies or the environment. I mean that the items you're looking for in there has a tendency to get camouflaged in the background and among the cobwebs. It's a minor detail, but it can be a bit annoying. On top of that, I have noticed that several entrances and areas in the proximity to the lair have some minor issues with collision detection and has bounced me back and forth a couple of times on several occasions. And while that wasn't a problem when I was alone on the test server, I can certainly imagine that experiencing that in a gunfight would be pretty frustrating. At this point, I am honestly a bit event fatigued, and I'm just wondering, could we maybe stop calling these things events? They are simply far too long to be called events. How about seasons? Or eons? But overall, I'd say it's pretty small complaints compared to the amount of content that we're getting with this update. I have to say that if you asked me about half a year ago if this was the state I was expecting Hunt Showdown to be in down the line, I would absolutely have said no. But my god, if Crytek hasn't turned the ship around completely. Patch fixing, performance enhancement, and a ton of new content on top of that. I think that the work they have put into this particular event is telling about the direction Hunt Showdown is heading in, and I really hope that the game is on its way to getting the recognition that it truly deserves. I just want to say, round of applause all the way around Well done, Crytek. I can't wait to get into this event. And with that said, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.